Jeff and Arthur lounged in their apartment, basking in the afterglow of their recent water park adventure. The room was a chaotic testament to their various escapades, filled with souvenirs, trinkets, and the occasional mystical artifact that Jeff insisted on keeping. Arthur was in the middle of untangling a particularly stubborn knot in a piece of rope when his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and groaned. "It's Sarah," he muttered, answering the call. "Hey, sis, what's up?" On the other end, Sarah's voice was frantic. "Arthur, I need a huge favor. My babysitter just canceled on me, and I have an important work event tonight. Can you watch Timmy and Lily for a few hours? Please?" Arthur hesitated, glancing at Jeff, who was currently trying to make a floating teacup perform somersaults. Babysitting wasn't exactly his idea of a relaxing evening, especially with Jeff's penchant for turning mundane tasks into magical chaos. But family was family. Sure, Sarah, we can handle it," Arthur said, ignoring Jeff's raised eyebrow. "Bring them over." As he hung up, Jeff's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Babysitting? This should be interesting. I've never looked after tiny humans before." Arthur sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Let's just try to keep things as normal as possible. No magical shenanigans, okay?" Jeff grinned mischievously. "Define shenanigans." The doorbell rang a short while later, and Arthur opened the door to find his sister Sarah standing there with Timmy and Lily. Sarah looked frazzled, her work attire slightly askew from rushing. "Thank you so much, Arthur," she said, handing over a list of instructions. "Here's everything you need to know. Bedtime is at 8, no sugar after 7, and please, no scary stories. Timmy gets nightmares." Arthur nodded, taking the list. "Got it. We'll take good care of them." Jeff popped his head into the hallway, waving enthusiastically. "Hello, tiny humans. Ready for a night of fun?" Timmy and Lily stared wide-eyed at Jeff, who, despite his friendly demeanor, was still a demon with horns and glowing eyes. Timmy clutched his backpack a little tighter, while Lily hid behind Sarah's leg. Sarah shot Arthur a worried glance, but he smiled reassuringly. "Don't worry, Jeff's great with kids." As Sarah hurried off, Arthur knelt down to Timmy and Lily's level. "All right, what do you guys want to do first?" Timmy peeked at Jeff, his curiosity overcoming his initial fear. "Can we play a game?" "Games! I love games!" Jeff exclaimed, clapping his hands. "How about hide and seek? I promise not to use any magical tricks." The kids hesitated, then nodded eagerly. Hide and seek sounded safe enough. The game was a hit. Jeff's excitement was infectious, and soon Timmy and Lily were running around the apartment, giggling and finding increasingly creative hiding spots. Jeff, true to his word, refrained from using any magic, though his natural ability to blend into shadows made him an excellent hider. When they finally tired of hide and seek, Arthur suggested a snack. He tried to keep it simple, offering apple slices and juice boxes, but Jeff had other ideas. "Why settle for ordinary snacks when you can have extraordinary snacks?" Jeff declared, with a dramatic flourish of his hand. He conjured a tray of floating cookies and a pitcher of juice that poured itself into glasses. Timmy and Lily watched in awe, their initial wariness completely forgotten. "Cool!" Timmy exclaimed, reaching for a cookie. Arthur rubbed his temples, but couldn't help but smile. "Just try not to make too much of a mess, okay?" Jeff nodded enthusiastically. "Of course! Mess-free magic coming right up." The apartment had settled into a deceptive calm after the initial whirlwind of playtime and snacks. Jeff and Arthur, feeling rather proud of their babysitting prowess so far, relaxed for a moment. The kids were in their pajamas, and the soft hum of bedtime routines began to fill the air. Arthur glanced at the clock. "All right, it's time to wind down. How about a calm game or some drawing before bed?" Timmy and Lily, sitting cross-legged on the floor, nodded eagerly. "Can we draw monsters?" Timmy asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Monsters it is," Jeff declared, conjuring a stack of paper and a box of crayons with a flourish. "But remember, these are friendly monsters." The kids giggled and began drawing. Timmy created a multi-eyed, furry creature with a huge smile, while Lily sketched a tiny dragon with wings covered in hearts. Jeff, not to be outdone, drew a caricature of himself, complete with exaggerated horns and a goofy grin. Arthur looked over, smiling. "Great job, guys. Now, let's get those teeth brushed and into bed." The mention of bedtime was met with groans, but Arthur managed to herd them towards the bathroom. Jeff, ever the entertainer, turned brushing teeth into a game, making his toothbrush dance and sing. Timmy and Lily followed suit, laughing and brushing enthusiastically. Arthur gathered Timmy and Lily for a bedtime story, hoping for a smooth transition to sleep. Jeff, however, had different plans. "How about a magical bedtime story?" he suggested, producing a book that glowed with an otherworldly light. Arthur gave him a skeptical look, but relented. "All right, but keep it calm. No wild adventures." Jeff's story was anything but ordinary. He spun a tale of a brave little dragon and a friendly witch, using gentle illusions to make the characters appear in the room. Timmy and Lily were entranced, their eyes wide with wonder as the story unfolded around them. By the time Jeff finished, both kids were yawning, their initial excitement giving way to drowsiness. Arthur tucked them in, relieved that Jeff's magical storytelling hadn't resulted in a sugar-fueled frenzy. As he closed the door to the kids' room, Arthur turned to Jeff. "Well, that went better than expected." Jeff beamed. "Babysitting is fun. What's next on the list?" Arthur glanced at the instructions. "Next up is cleaning up this mess before Sarah gets back. Think you can manage that without turning the mop into a dancing partner?" Jeff laughed. "No promises." Together, they tackled the cleanup, the apartment slowly returning to its usual state of organized chaos. As they finished, Arthur couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. Babysitting with Jeff had been an unexpected adventure, but one filled with laughter and a bit of magic. Arthur's plan for a quiet evening was interrupted by the sound of small feet padding across the floor. Timmy and Lily appeared in the doorway, rubbing their eyes. "Can we have a midnight snack?" Lily asked, her voice small and hopeful. Arthur sighed, about to say no, but Jeff jumped up, eyes twinkling. "Of course! Midnight snacks are the best. Follow me to the kitchen, my young apprentices." Arthur trailed behind, mentally preparing himself for the chaos that was sure to follow. In the kitchen, Jeff conjured a spread of snacks that seemed straight out of a fairy tale, glowing fruit, cookies that changed colors, and a jug of milk that poured itself. The kids' eyes widened in amazement. "Wow! This is so cool!" Timmy exclaimed, grabbing a glowing apple. Arthur shook his head but couldn't help but smile. "All right, just a little bit, and then back to bed." After the magical snack, Arthur ushered the kids back to bed. Just as they were settling down, a soft whimper came from Lily's bed. She sat up, clutching her stuffed bunny. "I'm scared of the dark," she whispered. Jeff knelt beside her bed, his glowing yellow eyes softening. "There's no need to be afraid, little one." He snapped his fingers, and a small glowing creature appeared, resembling a cross between a firefly and a fairy. It flitted around the room, casting a warm, comforting light. "This is Glimmer," Jeff explained. "She'll watch over you and keep the shadows away." Lily's fear melted away as she watched Glimmer dance through the air. "Thank you, Jeff," she whispered, snuggling under her covers with a contented sigh. Timmy, not wanting to be left out, asked, "Can I have one too?" Jeff nodded and created another glowing companion for Timmy, a tiny dragon that perched on his bedpost, emitting a soft glow. "Sleep tight, young adventurers. Your guardians will keep you safe." With the kids finally at ease, Arthur and Jeff tiptoed out of the room, closing the door quietly. Back in the living room, Arthur collapsed onto the couch. "That was actually pretty amazing," he admitted. "You have a knack for this, Jeff." Jeff grinned, flopping down beside him. "Thanks. Who knew babysitting could be so much fun?" As they cleaned up the kitchen, the sound of Knuckles knocking lightly at the door caught their attention. Sarah walked in, looking exhausted but relieved. "How did it go?" she asked, glancing around the surprisingly tidy apartment. Arthur and Jeff exchanged a look. "It went great," Arthur said. "The kids were wonderful." Sarah smiled, her shoulders relaxing. "Thank you both so much. I don't know what I would have done without you." After Sarah peeked in on Timmy and Lily, finding them sound asleep with their glowing companions, she returned to the living room, her eyes misting with gratitude. "You guys are lifesavers." "You can pick them up tomorrow if you'd like, Sarah." "We don't mind," Arthur said as he turned to Jeff, who was smiling and nodding enthusiastically. Sarah couldn't help but laugh. "I'll see you guys tomorrow." As Sarah left, Jeff turned to Arthur, a satisfied grin on his face. "So, what's next on our babysitting agenda?" Arthur laughed, shaking his head. "Let's just survive tonight, and we'll see what tomorrow brings." With the apartment finally quiet and clean, they settled back on the couch, ready to relax after their unexpectedly magical evening of babysitting. The first light of dawn crept through the apartment windows, casting a gentle glow over the remnants of the previous night's magical adventures. Jeff and Arthur, both sprawled on the couch, woke to the sounds of tiny feet pattering down the hallway. Timmy and Lily, still in their pajamas, appeared with wide eyes and bright smiles. "Good morning," Timmy chirped, jumping onto the couch between Jeff and Arthur. "Can we have pancakes for breakfast?" Lily nodded eagerly. "Magic pancakes?" Arthur rubbed his eyes, glancing at Jeff. "Magic pancakes, huh? Think you can handle that without turning the kitchen into a circus?" Jeff grinned, already on his feet. "Leave it to me. Magic pancakes coming right up." In the kitchen, Jeff waved his hands with dramatic flair, summoning ingredients from thin air. Eggs cracked themselves, flour floated into a bowl, and milk poured with precision. The kids watched in awe as Jeff conjured a griddle that hovered over the stove, sizzling with the promise of deliciousness. "Pancakes, assemble," Jeff declared, and the batter poured itself onto the griddle, forming perfectly round pancakes. With a snap of his fingers, the pancakes flipped in midair, landing neatly back on the griddle. Arthur supervised with a cautious eye, making sure Jeff's magical breakfast didn't get too out of hand. "Remember, edible and non-exploding, Jeff," Timmy and Lily giggled, clearly enjoying the spectacle. As the pancakes finished cooking, Jeff added a final touch. Each pancake had a smiling face that winked as it was placed on a plate. "Breakfast is served," Jeff announced, setting the plates in front of the kids. Timmy and Lily dug in, their faces lighting up with every bite. "These are the best pancakes ever," Timmy exclaimed, his mouth full. Arthur, sampling one, had to admit they were pretty good. "Not bad, Jeff. You've got a future in the culinary arts." Jeff bowed theatrically. Thank you. I'll be here all week." With breakfast finished and the kitchen miraculously still intact, the morning continued with more games and laughter. Jeff entertained the kids with more of his magical tricks, turning ordinary toys into animated playmates and conjuring tiny fireworks that burst into colorful sparkles. As the morning wore on, the doorbell rang, signaling Sarah's return. She walked in to find Timmy and Lily laughing with Jeff, completely at ease in the transformed living room. "Good morning, everyone," Sarah greeted, smiling as she took in the scene. "Looks like you all had a great time." Timmy and Lily ran to her, excitedly recounting their magical night and morning. "Mom, Jeff made us magic pancakes, and he told us the best bedtime story ever." Sarah's eyes twinkled with gratitude as she listened. "Sounds like you had quite the adventure." Arthur stood by, watching the reunion with a sense of accomplishment. "We managed to survive, and the apartment is still standing. That's a win in my book." Jeff nodded, his grin wide. "Your kids are a delight. We had so much fun." As Sarah gathered up Timmy and Lily, she turned to Jeff and Arthur. "Thank you both so much. I know it was last minute, but you really saved the day." Arthur shrugged modestly. "What are big brothers for?" Before they left, Timmy tugged on Jeff's sleeve. Will you babysit us again sometime? Jeff's eyes softened. Absolutely. Anytime you need a bit of magic. With final hugs and goodbyes, Sarah and the kids departed, leaving Jeff and Arthur in the now quiet apartment. Arthur collapsed back onto the couch, letting out a deep breath. Well, that was something. Jeff joined him, looking thoughtful. You know, I think we make a pretty good team. Babysitting, adventuring. Maybe we should start a supernatural babysitting service. Arthur laughed, shaking his head. Let's just take it one day at a time. But I have to admit, that was pretty amazing.